Okay, let's talk through all these golf events that you have coming up.
Gabby, I'm glad you asked. Got my calendar right here. July 17th at Red Run, and then July 31st, I have the American Golf outing for the Cancer Society.
I also have the American Cancer Society golf outing on the 31st, and also I got yours on the 18th, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there.
Whoa, boys, these are a lot of events and golf outings.
Well, you want me to miss my own golf tournament?
Gabby, they're all great calls.
I mean, this is...
Hold on. I got this. Guys, I got this. Don't worry about it. Hold on a second.
He always.
Hey guys. How are you? Remember the guys from Randy Wise, right? The Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
Watch for the eye.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports. And some, well, not so much. Brought to you in part by Premier Security Solutions, Fairway Packing Company, and Swiss Insurance. Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
Welcome into a beautiful Friday. Ermanni and Edwards. I'm Braylon Edwards. This is Tom Mazawey. Tom, how you doing this morning?
I'm good,
Afternoon,
man.
excuse
Good,
me.
Braylon.
It's been a long
Welcome
week,
back.
man.
Hey, it's Friday. We made it. Even though it's the short week, we made it.
Why were you laughing so hard in the intro, man? Would you have preferred to tune in maybe like an hour, a minute and a half?
Hey, I'm ready to go,
A
man.
minute and a half
I'm
later?
ready to go. You know, before you go ahead, say hi to the guys first.
Okay, you'll give me that, right?
Please.
I appreciate that,
You're
man.
the host.
Well, speaking of the guys, shout out to my Flannel Sam in the audio booth. Flannel Sam, what's going on with you, buddy?
Hey man, I'm fresh off of doing Big D Energy with Neil Rule and on to do Ermanni and Edwards, or mainly Ermanni and Maz today. You know, it's cool because I would consider myself the number one friend of the show,
Yeah.
of the people who are not a regular. So it's always cool to hang
Very
out with you guys.
I thought you were going to say you're
Very
the
agreed.
luckiest man on the face of the earth, because that's where I'm going to go when you're done with JB.
Well, speaking of the devil, JB, what's going on, man? It's Friday. You made it. How you feeling?
It is Friday. We made it, everybody. I know it's a short week, but I'm happy it's Friday. Happy to be here with you guys. And also, the Spider-Verse. The new movie is out this weekend. Bray, you going to see it?
You know I am. Miles Morales is a character. I believe that you could argue, if you want to go animated and live action, that Miles Morales, the first one, was the best Spider-Man to date. But I'm definitely excited. At least animation doesn't get it wrong. At least I know I can depend on animation. I don't have to worry about CGI. I don't have to worry about humans messing it up, casting the wrong individual. Spider-Verse, or what is it?
Across the
Spider-Verse. Last one was Into the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales. Maz, go ahead. What you got, buddy?
First of all, I'd rather watch my 1967 Here Comes Spider-Man. I've got the whole one.
Spider-Man.
I've got the whole
Spider-Man.
series. I thought that was the
What you
greatest cartoon ever made. Sorry, Bugs Bunny. That's a great one too. A lot of great ones, but
Looney Tunes
Spider-Man.
action.
Spider-Man in the 60s
Spider-Man.
was amazing.
Spider-Man.
Way ahead of its game, by
Yeah,
the way.
I agree.
Way ahead of its game.
One of the most complex comic book characters. You can argue that he's number one.
kidding.
I would disagree with you.
Love Peter
But I have no
Parker.
problem with him inside the top three.
Anyway, today is a special day. My favorite ball player of all time, Lou Gehrig. He passed away today at the age of 37 from ALS. Of course, they named that awful disease after the man himself, in Lou Gehrig.
Today in 1941, baseball legend Lou Gehrig passes away at his home in New York after a 2-year battle with ALS. For those of you out there that don't know what ALS is, it is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. The Iron Horse.
Yep.
He was only 37 years old.
Number 4.
Sweet Lou.
Never missed
Not
a
Lou
game
Whitaker.
until when he had to take off. Finally, he could not fight. His body would not respond anymore. And the day he took off, he was at Tiger Stadium, our own Tiger Stadium. That's when he called it quits, and that was it. But it was July 4th of the year prior to that when he retired from baseball, and when he said, "I still consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth," and that's why I brought that up when Sam was talking about that. So
Did not watch that live, but obviously everybody has seen Lou Gehrig right there. I want to say it was at the mound with the microphone. He lifts his cap to the air. 100%. I've seen that over and over again. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, is very interesting. We got involved, when I say me and my mom, like our foundation, the Braylon Edwards Foundation, we went towards ALS in 2009, 2010. Saw a special on HBO, Real Sports with Brian
terrible.
Gumble. It's amazing, amazing situation to learn about and to learn that a lot of athletes get it, man. Soccer players, boxers, NFL players seem it's most common in because there's more players in it.
Yeah.
But something is really crazy,
But
man.
the innocent get it too.
100%. 100%. It is not just a disease for sports. If you will, Tom, what's going on? Weekend's here, man.
I know.
I'm excited, man.
I know.
But you know what? Last night, we talked about it. The Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat. Speaking of being hot outside, but it wasn't hot in Denver. What'd you make of the first game? Miami Heat losing 104-93.
We talked about it yesterday, and I said, hey, as much as I wanted to say the Heat, after a 2-day rest, is going to have the edge, I changed my mind because you remember the Nuggets were off 10 days. I did change my mind last night before the game right here on the air, and I said, I think the Nuggets are going to run them out of the building, and they basically did.
Yeah.
They basically ran them out of the building. The Heat only gave up 104 points. What was it, 104?
104.
Yeah, 104-93. If you gave up 104 points, you should be able to win that game. Yet, it's going to be very hard for them to get a game. It really. After I saw last night, it's going to be very hard for Miami to get a game. I'm not going to count them out yet. I did pick them in 7. I'm not quitting on you yet, Miami. But they better get maybe the next one.
History definitely favored the number 1 seed in this series, coming back after winning a series, then going to Game 8, playing at home. They were 8-1. Those number 1 seeds playing against the number 8. So fortune favored those guys. Flannel Sam, talk about something, because one thing that I'm hearing, and I want your breakdown before we even get into the gameplay and who wasn't on and who was on. People have said, well, the final score was 104-93. They showed you in the fourth quarter that they could come back and make it interesting. Talk about that, because I don't think people are looking at that the way that I saw it.
Well, to me, I look at it as the Nuggets were in full control for the full game. I think the comeback was a little bit of fool's gold. I don't remember them getting it closer than 8 or 7. But the Nuggets, if you were a Nuggets fan, I doubt that you were ever really in fear for the whole game. I mean, the Heat. Yeah. The problem with the Miami Heat yesterday, and this is something that I predicted would happen, that eventually their three-point shooting would cool off, regress to the mean. Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, and Caleb Martin shot a combined 2 of 16 from 3, which is obviously terrible. But I also can't let Jimmy Butler off the hook either. He only gave you 13 points on 14 shots. If he wants to be that superstar, if he wants to be Jimmy Butler, he's got to give you more than that in a finals game, especially when, on the other side, Nikola Jokic gave you a 27-point triple-double on 8 of 12 from the floor.
Yeah, you mentioned Jimmy Butler, and one thing's been made, and we'll get into that. I agree with you 100%, and we agreed on that. The thing with the Denver Nuggets last night, the Miami Heat, wasn't also that just the cooling, the shooting cooled off, which it definitely did. They shot horrible yesterday. We knew, like you said, it was going to happen at some point. But I think another thing that happened, too, is Eric Spoelstra talks about that offense. Like, our offense isn't set up through the three-pointer. Our offense, it works better when we have the three-pointer, but that's not our offense. That's not how we set up. They become very reliable on that three-pointer because it's worked so well from them, whether it was the Bucks series, whether it was the Knicks series, whether it was Caleb Martin and Gabe Vincent shooting unconscious against the Boston Celtics. But now they're relying on that because when they went inside yesterday, you notice Caleb Martin early in the game, he tried to cut to the lane and do what he had done previously. Got past, I want to say, Michael Porter Jr., got inside and thought he was going to lay it up. Here comes Michael Porter Jr. finishing the play, following the play all the way to the rim. Aaron Gordon's not just a tall guy. Aaron Gordon is an athletic, big guy, more of a football body if you want to know. Bruce Bowen, those guys play physical, strong. They couldn't get in the paint. They couldn't get the shots up. They had to adjust their shooting patterns the whole game. You saw them shooting like this because it looked like they were playing the Monstars. And I put it to you this way. Everybody's waiting for them to get back to Miami and wake up. I don't know if they can wake up from what I saw last night, Maz. I think Denver took the foot off the gas. They relaxed, got an easy win, much like we saw Alabama against Cincinnati 2 years ago in the playoff. Alabama could have beat them by 80, but they just ran the ball for 500 yards just to get the W.
Hey, man, they've been the best team most of the year, right? Yeah. You guys all called it before the playoffs started. Denver's going to roll. Denver's going to win. And I said, well, they haven't done it before. Why am I going to bet on them right now? Yeah. But they've proved me wrong. they are dominating this playoff. Like, I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember the Philadelphia 76ers back in the 80s when they got their one with Moses Malone and Julius Erving.
Yeah.
Remember he said faux.
Finally.
Yep, and he wanted to win in 4-4-4.
Exactly.
Back then, you only needed 3 series to win it all.
Yeah.
They wanted in 4-4-5. They almost got their sweep across. But
Almost.
That was the Sixers back in the 80s. This one is as close to that as I've seen in a long time.
Before we dive back into Jimmy, Flannel Sam, because in the second segment, I want to pick your brain about some things. And also, we do have Lindsey Hunter today. He will be on the show. So definitely want to know from the 2-time champion what he saw yesterday. But another thing in watching that game last night from Denver, what did we talk about? You talked about good coaching. We talked about Eric Spoelstra. We said he probably was the best coach in the series because of his experience. But you kept saying how good of a coach Mike Malone is. Don't count Mike Malone out. He's going to have these guys prepared. One of the things that I noticed in that, and he said at the podium after the game, Flannel, is they won game 1 at home against the Bucks. They won game 1 on the road, on the road against the Knicks.
Yep.
They won game 1 on the road against the Celtics. They took pride in game 1 at Denver. They did not want to get Jimmy Butler going, didn't want to get that team going. They played an all-out effort, in my opinion, for the majority of the game until you knew it was up. Mike Malone should get a tip in his cap for that. He definitely had those guys prepared.
Yep, he was not going to let them steal game 1 from them. And if any game they were going to steal, it probably should have been this game. I know the mile-high air eventually will get to a team, make you tired, but they weren't in it from the get-go. Denver was ready. Talk about a team, Sam, talk about a team waiting in the wings, just ready to pounce. This was the way they played that game.
Yeah, they certainly did. It didn't look like the layoff really bothered the Denver Nuggets. And you mentioned Michael Malone. He's a guy that he's climbing the rings of the best coaches in the NBA. He's a guy that came into the Nuggets. They were a losing team. They were still not a playoff team for his first few years, but every year they improved their record. And then they started making the playoffs, but they had some seasons where Jamal Murray was hurt, Michael Porter Jr. was hurt, and now they are fully healthy. And the Nuggets, they look like a machine. And I mentioned yesterday that the only way that the Heat would have a chance to even make this series close is if they stole game 1. But the Nuggets were ready for them. They closed the door pretty quick. To me, that was a game that they basically took the heart the Nuggets did from the Heat. I never felt like it was a close game. It was always a blowout. And honestly, I think they sweep.
But the Heat did not shoot well. Can we say that? I mean, they were within 8. And then Duncan Robinson had a wide-open 3. And he hesitated. Remember? He was trying to stay behind the line. And when he hesitates, he does not even hit the rim, basically. Yeah. And he missed that wide right. It barely, I think it hit the backboard. And I said, that's it. This game, it's over. And then it was over.
Definitely. And one of the attributing factors, and we talked about it, is mile high. People take that for granted. When you go out there for your first time and you get to running around and warm-ups, you get to go, you're a lot more tired than you think when you start the game. Remember when I said it yesterday? I said when you start the first quarter at an NFL game, your legs don't come to you until about the second quarter. And that is what you saw out of the Miami Heat yesterday. They did not have legs. After Jimmy Butler hit that first 3, hits the first 2, they struggled the rest of the first quarter and pretty much the rest of the game. But that is a real thing. And hopefully they take from today till Sunday to get themselves ready to play in that altitude. And one of the best ways they can do that, they can get some run in today. Like, they should get some run in. I'm not saying go out full practice or anything like that, but they should definitely get those legs running, move away that lactic acid that is built up. They get something going, we'll figure it out.
Watch out. The Heat ain't done yet.
No, they're not. And speaking of not being done, Flannel Sam brought him up, Jimmy Butler. Let's talk about and assess his performance. Lindsey coming in about 2 segments. We'll really get some info from him. But first, Baz, tell us about Randy Wise.
You got it, man. How would you like to see famous athletes like Jim Harbaugh, Darren McCarty, and our own Braylon Edwards play with golf? Play a little golf. You can do it thanks to Randy Wise Automotive and Woodward Sports. You can be able to do just that. It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. You know we open all our shows with that commercial, so you know what we're talking about. Make the wise choice and pay attention to Woodward Sports. We'll give you more information, but keep it right here.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Welcome back, Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, sitting here breaking down the game last night. That was the Denver Nuggets going up 1-0 on the Miami Heat with a score of 104-93. Talking about a lot of things that went right, obviously, for the Denver Nuggets. Talking about a lot of things that went wrong, obviously, for the Miami Heat. One thing for the Miami Heat was Jimmy Butler. Last night performance, Jimmy had 7 assists, 7 rebounds, and 13 points. Only 13 points in that loss. Jimmy Butler did not look aggressive. Now, we know Flannel Sam that the way his style is, he tries to get guys going early on in the game. He's a facilitator. He wants to get Strus going. He wants to get Caleb Martin going. He wants to get Kyle Lowry. He wants to get a couple points himself. He wants to get Bam going. He's really good at getting Bam Adebayo going, feeling confident. But it works when you got teams like the Celtics that aren't having the best coaching at the time. Their number 2 player isn't stepping up at the time. It works against the Bucks when Giannis Antetokounmpo is not playing, and when he's playing, he's kind of unhealthy. It does not seem to work when you're playing against a team that has Jokic, the best player in the NBA, who's on, Jamal Murray, who's acting like the best point guard in the NBA, and the Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Casey Caldwell-Pope. It doesn't seem like it's worked. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, excuse me. Will it work for them, or is this one game out filling it out?
Yeah, I think it's a one game. They definitely keyed on Jimmy. They made it hard on him yesterday. But you know who made a little history yesterday? Bad history is Max Strus. Max Strus. 0 for 9, I think he went.
9.
No, did he get any?
He got 1.
I'm surprised because I thought I saw 0 for. I thought his shots were 0.
Oh, no, you're right. He did go 0 for 9.
He tied
Strus and Duncan both had 1.
He tied John Starks.
Wow.
Remember John Starks back in '93 against the Rockets in Game 6? He went 0 for 1,000,000. I know that for sure. And a bad finals for Steph Curry. He went 0 for 1 game. Those 3 men are the only 0-fers in NBA history, and that's not a good. Well, it is a pretty good list, but you don't want to be on that list.
Well, speaking of being 0-fer, and speaking of the question I asked you, with Jimmy Butler, the way he played yesterday, took his time, really wasn't aggressive in his show, needed points, didn't get him, tried to get other guys going, and they couldn't get involved. With Jimmy Butler not being as aggressive, do the roles of Strus, do the roles of Robinson, do the roles of Vincent, do those roles now go up? Because Jimmy's not become. If you look at the last 7 games, Jimmy Butler, correct me, Sam, has not been Hemi Butler last 7 games. He's been a good player. He's been a very good player. He hasn't been Hemi Butler, though.
No, he's been more like what you'd expect from regular season Jimmy Butler, but a little bit less efficient. And Jimmy Butler yesterday, we talked about it in the open briefly. He only scored 13 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists on 14 shots. That's not a game that's acceptable to have if you have gotten the prowess of Jimmy Butler and been playoff Jimmy or Hemi Butler. You expect more from him in that game. And the funny thing is, too, Braylon, you mentioned he did get Bam Adebayo going, or Bam Adebayo did get going. He gave you 26 and 13 rebounds, and that's a game you might not get as good of an offensive game from Bam Adebayo the rest of the series. And even Gabe Vincent, he shot the ball well. But you mentioned Max Strus.
Yep.
Let's make a declaration about Max Strus right now.
Make it.
When it comes to Miami Heat role players, there are levels to this. I don't want to hear Max Strus in the same conversations as Caleb Martin or Gabe Vincent or Duncan Robinson. Max Strus, he kind of showed who he is. He's more or less I don't want to say a nobody, but
he's a hit or miss.
He's hit or miss, but he's even throughout the whole playoffs. Max Strus has not been as good as the other role players, and he showed it yesterday. It wasn't all Jimmy Butler's fault that they lost, but he could have done more, and that was a game despite the Nuggets clearly handily winning. When you look at the final box score, when you look at the fact that the Heat held Denver to 104, it was more winnable when you work backwards than you might think while watching it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the thing you got to think about, Maz, swinging it back to you, is yesterday Jimmy Butler realized one thing, Maz. And because throughout the playoffs, if he's had an off game or let's say not a 40-point game, you got Caleb Martin dropping 26. You got Kyle Lowry giving you 18. You got Bam Adebayo giving you 13 to 35. You have Strus even having big games. And he was the first guy off the bench to have a big game. That's why they still think Strus in that same conference. You're right, and he doesn't belong in there. But yesterday you saw that you didn't have it. Bam Adebayo had it. Nobody else stepped up. Nobody else could step up. Nobody else wanted to make a shot. Nobody else could get to the lane and penetrate. So now, do you think that turns Jimmy Butler back into the Jimmy Butler that we saw in the first series against the Bucks?
What it has to happen, first of all, Jimmy won't play as bad as he did.
Yeah.
He'll step his game up, even though they key on him. And they played hard. You got to give it to Denver. They took it away from him.
Yeah.
But no, the other guys have to step up now. You can't. Jimmy Butler can't beat the Nuggets. It's got to be 1 through 10 for the Heat.
Yeah.
That's how they got here. 1 through 10. That's how they got here. It's not one man winning for the Heat. They are that type of team. They are an all-together team. 3 undrafted players that play big minutes for this team. You need everybody to chip in. Otherwise, it's a blowout. Maybe they get one. Maybe.
Yeah, 100%. You know somebody else that has to step up, and we're going to pivot because you're right. We got to give the credit to the Denver Nuggets and what they've done. We're going to pivot to them and talk about Jokic, who did something last night where he joins only one other person to do that in game 1 of his first finals game. But I believe Eric Spoelstra, for as much as we make about this great defensive coach he is, this great mind that he is, this motivated that he is, this relationship that he has with the great Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra is under the gun for this game because I want to see something different out of that team as it relates to defensive, how you're going to force Joker in and not let him just do what he did last night, which we'll talk about. Do you think Eric Spoelstra is a guy that needs to respond, or is he okay?
No. He's going to get this team going. Like you said,
he need to respond.
They're working today.
Yeah.
He's got them. Look, guys, we were in this finals just a couple of seasons ago against the Lakers. You guys remember it. We got our ass kicked. We're not going to allow that to happen again. That's a real team that we're playing over there on the other side of the court. We all better step up our game. So he's got them out there getting their wind and getting their lungs up to that capacity for that mile-high air. I think they come out on Sunday and they will play 10 times better than they did. And it's going to be a real close game on Sunday. Matter of fact, I might put my money on the Heat on Sunday.
Flannel, what do you think about that? Obviously, with Eric Spoelstra, in terms of what Maz is saying, Eric Spoelstra got to get these guys going. For all this is made about who he is, the great mind that he is, me included, I've said it, he's got to get something cracking.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Spoelstra, I think we all agree in this room, is at the absolute worst, a top 3 coach in the NBA, and probably number 1 at least at this point. My thing is, after watching last night's game and kind of seeing how I assess the Nuggets and the Heat, I don't know if there's anything that Eric Spoelstra can drastically do that can slow this Denver Nuggets team down. I think the only way that they do falter is if they don't make their shots. But even last night, the Nuggets shot 30% from 3, and Michael Porter and Jamal Murray combined for 4 of 18, and they still won by 11. You mentioned earlier, the Nuggets, they can look like the Monstars from time to time. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. He's the best passer in the NBA, and they don't have really great players with them, but Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. are all borderline all-stars, with Jamal Murray obviously elevating his game in the playoffs and being the best of all of them, that play off ball well. And then you've got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown, who are dream scenario role players who play good perimeter defense. KCP can definitely shoot the 3. Bruce Brown can shoot the 3 as well. So they're just so perfectly constructed and orchestrated perfectly by Jokic. That's why I think the Heat, unfortunately, I disagree with you, Maz. I think they have no shot.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, well, switching gears, you mentioned the guy himself. Nikola Jokic joins Jason Kidd as the only players to start off their first finals appearance ever with a triple-double. Jason Kidd did it for the New Jersey Nets in 2002.
But they lost.
Well, I'm just saying in terms of what he did, he had a triple-double.
I hope Jokic is hoping that he don't follow that pattern.
Yeah, I don't even know if the Nets won that game, so technically he's already ahead of J. Kidd. Watching Nikola Jokic last night was poetry in motion. This man had a triple-double, but it's not about that. He's so in tune to the game. He's so in tune to his teammates. He's standing at the top of the key. Aaron Gordon wide open, who gets down there. Here's a dunk. Here's another dunk. Here's another dunk. Oh, by the way, we have Michael Porter Jr. Let me move out. Let me clear the space because everybody is dialed in to Nikola Jokic. 10 eyes. They're not worrying about guys that are all-stars. They're not worrying about guys that have all-star talent, like Flannel Sam said. They're so entrenched into Nikola Jokic. Guys are getting wide open, and guys are making shots. I don't know how Eric Spoelstra comes up with a game plan to defeat that.
Hey, let's go back. Let's stay with Jokic for a minute,
Okay.
all right? Would you and Sam, both of you, answer this question? Is he a top 5 player in the NBA?
Is he a top 5 player in the NBA?
Yeah.
He's the best player in the NBA.
Yes.
Okay. Stephen A. Smith doesn't think he's worth it. A supermax contract, though. Let me put up Stephen A's tweet from the other day. There's his top 5 guys that he would say are worth supermax contracts, and I don't see Jokic on there. Do you?
Okay, so the guy at the top got beat by the guy number 2. The guy number 2 lost to Nikola Jokic. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, Stephen A he's a basketball guy, right?
Luka Doncic didn't make the playoffs. Jason Tatum just got sent home by Hemi buckets, and Giannis Antetokounmpo was flirting with injuries, and Mike Budenholzer wasn't necessarily putting him in the right spots. Look, Stephen A. and a lot of times I have nothing against him because I will like his show sometimes. I don't like it other times. It's all clickbait. It's all to start these arguments, people going back and forth. It's to create the rift. That's what ESPN has done for years, and there's nothing wrong with that. That model has worked for them, but we're talking logic. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA, and you're seeing so right now because last night, I'm telling you, for the first 7-minute stretch in the game, it looked like the Monstars was out there playing at one point. Aaron Gordon was dominating, doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. Michael Porter looked like, before Jokic got going, it looked like Michael Porter was going to be the MVP of the game. Am I wrong? Flannel Sam?
Yeah, and he obviously tapered off with the shooting at the end, but they all play their different roles. Guys like Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon, they were catching those beautiful passes from Nikola Jokic and getting the Nuggets off to a lead, and then when Jokic needed to score more to close out the game, he could do that too. The fact that list is one of those lists that you look at and you're like, you don't even believe what you're saying. I mean, I'm obviously as big of a LeBron fan as you'll ever find, but 38-year-old LeBron getting a supermax, come on. Yeah, and this is coming from me over Jokic.
I know, but I just found it so fascinating and so stupid that I had to show you guys because I don't get it. I just don't. Like you said, I guess you said it's clickbait. He got me. I clicked and I got pissed.
You know what's crazy is I have an analogy. I got 2 teams that I believe remind me of this of this different Nuggets team, the way in which they're moving, the way in which they're playing, the efficiency rate at what they're playing. I got 2 teams. Now, I know we're not up for a break right now, but I got 2 teams. I'm going to throw them out there, and I'm going to let you assess them. One team could be the Warriors' first championship team, the first 2 series that they had before they got KD, and or the Spurs when they beat LeBron James and the Miami Heat. Just think about those in terms of where I'm going with this analogy and where it makes sense, where it doesn't make sense. You 2 at home. But before that, tell us about Guardian Alarm, Sam.
Absolutely. Guardian Alarm. It's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call them at 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
How about that rookie? He is something else. How big is that?
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. I posed a question right before we went to the break. Maz, 2 teams that this Nuggets team remind me of. One is the Golden State Warriors in 2015 from the standpoint of how well the role players played, knowing their lanes, knowing their positions, whether it was with Leandro Barbosa, whether it was Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, who would go on to win Finals MVP, and the Spurs with Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard beat the Miami Heat. Just in the sense of how that offense flowed, man. Tim Duncan in the middle, great passing, big man. They're fundamentally sound, led by Pop. Mike Malone reminds me a lot of Pop. Think about those. Tell me what you think.
Hey, man, I think it's a pretty good comparison. I love that Warriors team, and I loved them prior to KD getting there. But once he got there, he never should have left. I kept saying that. Probably would have won 2 or 3 more.
Yeah,
but that Warriors team from top to bottom reminded me more of this Nugget team, because the Nuggets just keep rolling guy after guy out of the team, and so did the Warriors. I mean, Iguodala, and I know Sam likes to stick this to me, actually got the MVP over my guy, Steph Curry. I don't know if I believe that. I know he was terrific.
Steph actually had a better series than most people think. He
Yeah,
actually had a much
great
better series. I understand.
And he's the leader.
I understand how he didn't get it, but he had a much better series than people gave him credit for.
So I'm gonna go with that Warrior team as my Denver Nugget.
Okay. Flannel Sam, tell me if you like one. Tell me if I'm completely off base.
Keep laughing, Sam.
No, I'm not laughing at all. I actually, before I go to that, I agree with you, Braylon, that Steph Curry wasn't terrible in the 2015 finals. He was in the 2016 finals, the one that they lost, but Steph Curry wasn't as bad as people think. I actually like it's an imperfect comparison, but I like the Spurs, the 2014 Spurs. I remember I was watching that series as someone who was rooting for the Heat as a LeBron fan, and it was so frustrating watching the Spurs just move the ball perfectly, get wide open looks. They shot 47% from 3 for the series. It was one of the most beautiful.
Gary Neal.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
It was one of the most beautiful brands of basketball I've ever seen. The only difference is that Spurs team didn't really have an in their prime superstar. They had a past their prime Tim Duncan and a before their prime Kawhi Leonard. And the parallel between maybe Steph Curry and Nikola Jokic, I can understand that, because Steph Curry's they're both obviously superstars, going to be all-time greats, kind of more known as selfless players. But I prefer the 2014 Spurs comparison. I think that they played basketball in a more similar way to the Nuggets.
All right, you know what? We'll get somebody else in on that comparison.
I don't know if he knows what he's talking about, though.
He might. I mean, 2 championships, one with the Lakers, one with the Pistons. I mean, I'm pretty sure Lindsey Hunter would know what he's talking about. Without further ado, Lindsey, what's going on, big bro?
What's up, fellas?
Man, they messed up and let me host the show, man. You know, we about to talk about everything, man. I got to get get my Black and Miles on the show and my cognac. I'm joking. We're sitting here talking about, you know what, obviously the joke. We're talking about the game last night. First question for you. Hemi Butler, the way he played last night wasn't Hemi Butler. Is that fixable with his game against this team?
I think it is. I think it's going to have to be. If they have any chance to compete to win it, he's going to have to be no worse than 25, 26 a night. Like, that's the worst he can do to give them a chance to win. But he's going to have to be superhuman to overcome this Denver team, because I just think they're loaded. They're so set in the ways that they play, and they're so ingrained into playing off Joker, man, that it's just hard to overcome all that. And when all those guys are clicking, man, it's tough to beat them. I never thought that the Warriors or the Lakers had a chance to beat them. Regardless of which one won, I didn't think anybody could beat Denver coming out of the West the way they were playing. And I've been proven right so far. And it's going to be a tough task, man, for Miami to overcome. And maybe they, I know they can play better, but even in that, if they play better, it still may not be enough.
Myself and others should have bet with you as it relates to these playoffs. I clearly did not, and now I'm struggling. Here's another question, man, while we're at it. Talking about Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's a guy, man, he floats through the season. He's around 22 points, 23 points. He'll have a big game every so often, but most of it's about stacking W's. What does it take to stack W's? What does it take to be fifth? And then people wonder, he changes in the playoffs. He doesn't play like that in the regular season. And the reason why I ask is the trajectory that he's on, is he exerted too much energy? Like, when you don't do something all the time and then you do it in a quick spurt, like, sometimes you run out of the energy to finish that mission. Has he exerted too much of himself too early, not doing that in the regular season? I know it's a long question, but I'm trying to get it out.
Yeah, no, I understand totally what you're saying. And I don't know. I think he tries to preserve his energy during the regular season because he has to do so much, in a team without another quote-unquote marquee guy that can carry them from time to time. I think that weighs on him a lot.
No.
And I just kind of think you see that from time to time where he'll run out of gas. And that's, kind of the way they've been going along. But they've been able to recoup. And hopefully they can recoup, because I don't want to see a sweep. I want to see a long series, and I want to see some excitement.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, this Heat team, Lindsey, they've done it all. And they had the Celtics on the ropes, down 3-0. Gabe Vincent sits out a game, and all of a sudden the Celtics find a way to get into the series, and they take it. Game 6 was amazing. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about that. Game 6 was amazing, and I guess the Celtics ran out of steam there. I thought the Heat were going to run out of steam, and then they turned it on Boston in Game 7. But do you think that took too much out of this team?
Man, I always look back at, those long series, and sometimes they do. Sometimes they're good for teams. I think sometimes they get you prepared for what's in store for you the next round. Other times I think, it wastes your energy. I remember going back to back, and some of the earlier series we kind of threw games away, and it came back to bite us.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens. I don't necessarily think it bothers the Heat team, because they're the kind of team that's kind of built for long series, and I think it kind of benefits them because of the way they play, because of how deep they are, and they have a lot of guys that contribute unexpectedly, which is a good thing. So I don't think it bothers them. I just think in this series, Jimmy's going to have to be out of his mind every single night in order for them to win.
Yeah.
And, that first game was an example of it.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Jimmy Butler to do that. Here's a good question. Here's a question I have, and I wonder if others out there have it as well. Nikola Jokic is dominating right now. Nikola Jokic, and even if he's not scoring 40, the way in which he's facilitating, the way in which he's getting rebounding, the way in which he's setting the offense up and keeping the eyes. You've played with an individual and won a championship with an individual that people call dominant, that people just couldn't stop. When you watch Nikola Jokic, talk about, does anything look familiar to when Shaq was dominant with those Lakers teams?
Well, they were kind of polar opposite the way Shaq dominated. Shaq dominated purely physically.
Right.
Like, there was nobody that could stand up to the physicality that Shaq was bringing when he was on top of his game. It was nothing like it. It was nothing you could do defensively, no scheme, nothing you could do that would stop him. And watching, Jokic, he methodically picks you apart. Like, whatever you got, he has a counter for it. You want to double him, then he's going to drop a dime. He's a very, very smart rebounder. Like, you watch him get offensive rebounds, you watch him get defensive rebounds. He's not that athletic, but he uses his body really, really well, methodically gets it done. He can shoot the three. He can run the point.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy can do every single thing on the court that needs to be done from every single position. And so just watching him, man, pick your defense apart, it's like whatever you got, he has a counter for it. Shaq was so different because there was nothing you could counter with him. Like, you could double him, it didn't matter. You could try to foul him, but by the time you start fouling him, he's got 37 and 14. So Shaq was just a absolute unstoppable force that when he got going, there was really nothing the defense could do. You could throw. That's why teams stacked up. Back then when Shaq was dominating the league, every team had 3 centers because they knew they had to have something to throw at this guy. But it really was nothing you could do. Just pray that he ran out of gas somehow, but that never happened.
I appreciate
the only thing the league was wishing for is that he got old, which is
that's what happened. That's actually what happened. But you know what? The great thing about that question is you answered my question. More so, it was mental with Jokic in terms of methodical way that he breaks you down, because they dominate. Like, they dominate in the same way in terms of the totality of it. When Nikola Jokic yesterday, when he's leading the press like that, when you got guys, 51% field goal shooting is what they do. And a lot of that is the shots that they're getting. And that's because Nikola Jokic, not to mention, he's Mr. Triple-Double guy. So I see it physical versus mental, but they both dominating the ass off, man.
Hey, Lindsey, go back to the Heat-Celtics series for a minute. Talk about the Celtics. And we brought them up the last couple of days. They're going to bring back Joe Mazzulla, their head coach. And the way Brad Stevens sounds, and I got a sounder here for you. Let's play this little sound from Brad Stevens yesterday when they asked him Are you going to bring Jaylen Brown back, give him a Supermax contract? He had this to say about his team.
Every team's going to have to make tough decisions every year, right? But at the end of the day, we love our foundation, we love our core, and that's really our focus and priority.
What's your take on the Celtics? Should they bring Jaylen Brown back, or should they break him up?
I think I'm so fond of Jaylen Brown. On and off the court, I think he's a marvelous talent. He's still young, so he's still getting better. It would be hard for me to watch them let him go, knowing, those guys are relatively young. Like, it's hard. People don't understand. Just because they got to the finals, people think, oh, yeah, they're going to win it. No, it doesn't work like that. It takes a lot to get over the hump. And they're right there. They're on the verge of being one of those teams that you can count in every year to be fighting for a finals,
Yeah.
I know he's qualified for the Supermax, and you're going to probably end up spending $500 million on two guys. That's the projection.
A little bit more than that.
And, right, but I just can't see you letting a superstar like that go unless you can replace him with something just
comparable,
maybe not as good, but similar. I just can't see them giving him up. I know there's going to be a lot of suitors out there for Jaylen Brown.
That's what I'm coming to. That's where I'm coming to. I'm coming to Detroit. We're going to talk Pistons here with you. All right? Can the Pistons should the Pistons be one of those suitors? And what would you put together to get a guy like that?
Oh, absolutely. The Pistons should be in on Jaylen Brown if that's a possibility. And you put together whatever you have to get a generational player. You put together whatever you can to get a guy like that's a cornerstone of an organization. You heard what Brad Stevenson said. They want to lock in their core guys. And Jaylen Brown is, I always look at those guys. Tatum is 1A, Jaylen Brown is 1B.
Yeah.
So if you could get a guy like that is going to be a 20-plus point guy a night who's going to defend, man, you got to go after him, man. But I can't see Boston letting him go unless somebody comes. The only thing I can see somebody doing is if Damian Lillard is available and they can make a switch like that, I can see that happen. But to give up Jaylen Brown, you're going to want to get another superstar.
All right, Lindsey, you and Maz opened up Pandora's box, so I'm going to hold you through the break. And I want to know if the new head man in Detroit will get guys to want to come here. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, Maz, tell us about Big Boy.
You know it. It is Strawberry Fest at Big Boy. It's that time of the year. Get on down to Big Boy. That's right, Ryan and Lukey's favorite place. You want to get the classic breakfast, get you started with the strawberry hot cakes or the mouth-watering red velvet waffle. And then, if you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with the summer splash salad. And don't forget to grab dessert. You know what it is, including the strawberry pie. That's the classic strawberry pie. Little fresh whipped cream on top, or you can do the deep-fried vanilla Oreo, and there's a lot more on the menu. Plus, the classic Big Boy. Get it all at your local Big Boy.
Big Boy.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network. How would you like to win not one, but two vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Today it's just Edwards with Maz. Maz, how you feeling over there, man?
I'm great, man. I got my man, Braylon, and we got my main man, Lindsey Hunter.
We do.
In the
Bring
house
it back
with
in.
us.
Lindsey Hunter, two-time champion with the Los Angeles Lakers as well as the Detroit Pistons. The current Detroit Pistons
Former
we're
number
talking
one
about,
pick here, baby.
100%. Talk about that, man. Talk about being a first-round draft pick to Detroit, man. I know I've asked you before, but the draft is coming up. It's time for these questions again. Talk about what it was to get drafted to Detroit first round.
Man, for me, the big thing about that, the draft was in Detroit my year.
Yeah.
So
At the Palace.
At the Palace,
At the Palace, man, it was like a dream come true. It was like when I was drafted, it was a big party in the city, man, and me and Allen, there was nowhere we couldn't go. Hey, there was nowhere we couldn't go that night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is real.
It was a once in a lifetime experience, man, and I'll never forget it. And Detroit, luckily has ended up being my home, and since that first day, man, I fell in love with the city. The city loves me, and I've never left.
You're absolutely right about that.
I'm glad about
Detroit
that.
loves you, and so do I. But speaking about being in Detroit, being about getting initiated and ingratiated, Monty Williams is now the new head coach for the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons wanted to make a splash. They wanted to go after one of those guys, and they went and got a guy, Monty Williams, 6 years, $78 million. Lindsey, first reaction when you saw the ticket?
Well, I really wasn't surprised because I kept hearing how they were still pursuing him.
Right.
So you knew, like, okay, this is the guy that Gores wants. This is the guy that Gores is targeted, and if you want to make a splash, that's one way to do it. You go after your guy, and no matter what anybody says, you go after your guy. You do what it takes to get him.
But Lindsey,
that's what
highest paid ever with no championships to show for. I'm just asking. I'm playing devil's advocate. No championships to show for.
Trust me, I think Monty's a wonderful coach. I think Monty's a great coach.
Yeah.
But for me, what you just said is kind of like my thinking, because if I'm going to give a guy, if I'm going to make you the highest paid ever, then there has to be something behind that kind of staples that.
Okay.
But you know what? Hey, they went out on a limb to say this is our guy for the future, to build this, to bring this back to relevance, and they were willing to pay the ticket. So you can't get mad at them wanting to pay the ticket. The fact that he hadn't won a championship as a coach, they looked over that. It didn't matter.
100%.
I always think that matters, but for new up and coming coaches, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you never lied about that.
So, yeah,
you ain't the only one. They playing some of these wide receivers, man. They paying them some money. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. That wasn't an option when I was going. But now let's get past the money. 6 years, $78 million, upwards of 100, depending on some variables and the incentives. But why is he? Now that we're past that, why is Monty Williams the job or the right guy for Cade Cunningham, for Killian Hayes, for Jalen Duren, and Jalen Ivey? Why is he the right guy?
Well, I think if you look at his track record, and he was in New Orleans, he had some studs down there that he kind of, helped kickstart their careers. And Monty's a great guy. I think Monty does things the right way. I think he's going to teach the guys how to be winners. He's a great leader of men, well respected throughout the league, and he's worked for some tremendous coaches. He's been under tutelage of some tremendous coaches. So I think it was a good call. I really like Monty as our new leader going forward. And hopefully he can get some more pieces in here to turn this thing around and get us in a position where we are competing for the playoffs and beyond for championships.
Lindsey, I want to ask you about what's the big difference here. You had a coach. You had a coach of the year. You went after Toronto's Dwayne Casey, and he wanted to take off a year, be with his family. And then you hear the same thing that Monty Williams says. Look, I want to take a year off to be with my family. And then Gores drops the bag on him and says, listen, forget your family. I need you here. You're going to be our family. What's the major difference between Dwayne Casey, besides the age, besides the age and the voice difference, is there a major difference between Monty and Dwayne?
Well, I think just from what I know and just watching and kind of seeing both of the guys coach, I think their styles are going to be a little different. I think Monty will be more demanding. And he won't, I don't think he'll let the guys get away with some of the things that we saw, as far as defensively, past couple of years.
What defense?
The one Wiseman was pissed at when he got here.
Right. I think Monty will be more decisive and more diligent as far as that's concerned. And I think offensively, we know, he has his, his point two rule as far as making decisions offensively. So I think you'll see a faster pace offensively as far as guys making decisions, not getting up and down. But I don't think the ball will stick as much because I think that's what he's big into, not letting the ball stick as much. So we'll see. I think we'll see some big differences. Time will tell if it'll equate to winning more. But I think we'll see a team that starts to form faster with our young talent, and eventually that is going to have to equate to wins.
Now you had, I think you were on the Kevin Ollie wagon. I think you thought it was his time. Give this kid a chance. No, he's not coached an NBA team yet, but he's won a championship at UConn. He's got NBA roots. And then they talked to Charles Lee, too, an assistant with Milwaukee, #1 assistant under Budenholzer. Then you got Doc Rivers out there, and you got Budenholzer out there as well with championship pedigrees. Again, do you still think Monty Williams was the right choice here? Everything in, money and the works.
Well, I really don't think you could have went wrong with any of the young guys that, were out there. I thought Ollie was a great candidate. I don't know Lee from Milwaukee as well.
Yeah.
But, you couldn't go wrong with Monty Williams or Doc Rivers or Kevin Ollie, even Budenholzer. I don't think you could go wrong with any of those guys. It just depends on, what direction you wanted to go in. And if you examine each of those coaches, past and watch what they did, how you wanted the team to possibly look in the future. So we saw Monty coach, Katie and those guys in Phoenix. He got to a finals with those guys.
Yeah.
So I think, that was kind of the direction that Tom Gores wanted to go in. I think he was enamored with that, and I don't think you could go wrong, really.
Lindsey, we saved this topic, and I think it's a perfect time to bring it up before we let you go and ask you this question. Earlier today, Adam Silver spoke. He talked about the Ja Morant situation as it relates to they already had a ruling. They were going to wait till after the finals so that it didn't take away from the teams in it. But then in there, he says, along with that, he uncovered more information since they kind of already had the ruling, letting you know that there's more and more and more on top of this Ja Morant situation. 2 questions. Question 1, what do you think of the decisions to wait on relaying the information on what they have decided to do with Ja Morant? And 2, Ja Morant. Even though that's not a question, Ja Morant, what was, what has become, just everything that is Ja Morant. 2 questions. But first, what do you think about Adam Silver and the NBA's decision to hold off on the info?
I think it was smart. I think it was smart because you don't want anything to tarnish the finals.
Yeah.
People were already upset that, the Lakers aren't in the finals or the Warriors aren't in the finals.
Or the Celtics.
The Celtics aren't in the finals.
Yeah.
People were upset about that. So now we have Denver and we have Miami. So I think you really have to highlight what's going on now, and let's keep it positive and keep it what's going on now. For us to report something like that at a time like this, when we're supposed to be celebrating 2 teams that have fought tooth and nail to get to this point in the season, I think that would be crazy. That would take away from a lot of the enjoyment of what we're watching now. When this is done, when the finals are over and we crown the champion and the finals MVP and all the other accolades that come with it, then we can talk about the things that the Ja Morant situation and the ruling of how, what his suspension will be, the other things that they've uncovered, the aftermath of his career. What is it going to look like now? Is he going to get back on track to catapult himself back into the superstardom realm that he was headed in? He was headed in the direction of being one of the faces of the league.
He looked like the Kevin Durant shot in the Eastern Conference Finals where he had his foot on the line. That's how close Ja was. His foot was on the line.
Right.
Think
about it. He messed himself out of the Supermax. He lost out on getting the Supermax.
Yep, $38 million.
So there's a lot on the line for this kid, and I just pray he gets himself together. He's still young. He has a long way to go, and hopefully he can realize that, man, who you surround yourself with affects you on and off the court. And you have to be smarter. You have to understand that, man, I got one shot at this thing, and I can't afford to keep messing up because, we've watched in apologies. We've watched him say, I'm getting counseling. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. But
happens again.
People don't watch what you say. People watch what you do. And that's just the reality of it. And, hopefully he gets it together, man, and we can watch him for years to come be great.
Hope so, man. NBA can use him. Back to the Pistons, one more before you leave us. The draft, picking 5th. It is what it is. What do you think the best fit for this team is? What do you think they're going to do with that pick? Are they going to shop it? Are they going to bring in – what's your take, Lindsey, going forward here with this team at number 5? What do they got to get?
I think they'll do all of the above. I think if they can put a package together and get something better, they'll do it. I think if the right guy is there and they are impressed by the workouts and things of that nature, they may take a chance on drafting a guy. So I don't think anything's off the table. When you're drafting at 5th, and the way this draft is now, because it's a huge fall off after I think the first 3 guys. Yeah. Everything has to be on the table. You have to be willing to wheel and deal if you have to. Or if there's a guy that really catches your eye and you say, hey, I think this guy fits our culture, let's take a chance on him and let's draft him and bring him in, then you do that. But I think you have to have all options open. We didn't get the top 3 picks, so I think you have to just have all options open now.
Amen.
This is true. Lindsey, it's been a pleasure and a privilege always. What you got planned for this weekend, man? Grand Prix is going on downtown. It's nice outside. What do you got going on?
I don't know, but I may go down there and check it out. Traffic's going to be horrible, though.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'm coming up in Mac taking Eastern Market, man.
You can make it down there. Don't let traffic be your detriment, Lindsey. You got to forget traffic.
He's not gonna pay your parking fine or your parking infraction. No, don't listen to him.
It's traffic right here in Birmingham. You used to see it.
Man, 75 is jacked up. 696 is jacked up.
Jefferson is closed. Jefferson is closed.
Right.
Cass is closed.
You're right. Stay home, man.
Is closed.
Stay home.
The more I think about it, I may not go downtown. Nah, I'm joking.
You just made my decision for me.
You live in Grosse Pointe, though. It's cheating. You already got you got to go that way anyway. Right. Lindsey, look, we're going to let you get out of there, man. Appreciate you having this Friday.
All right,
we'll talk soon. Enjoy your weekend, whatever you do. Love you too, brother.
All right.
Always good talking to big bro Lindsey Hunter. He makes some very, very, very good arguments, says some very good things. Look, Monty Williams is here now. He's a guy that we have, and, you throw some things out there. There's a reason why Troy Weaver and guys like that, they're GMs, so it's up to them to figure it out.
Hey, we talked about the John Moran situation, but we didn't get a chance to let the people hear what Adam Silver had to say, and we have that for you. So this was Adam Silver last night before Game 1 of the NBA Finals.
Hold that. How about we go to commercial
That's
real
fine.
quick? And then as soon as we get back.
Whatever you want to do.
Let's do Fairway real quick and then come back and do John Moran.
Sounds good.
Fairway Packing, Sam.
Absolutely. For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Company has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks, or order online at fairwaypacking.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
So in assessing what discipline is appropriate, if that's the case, we look at both the history of prior acts, but then we look at the individual player's history as well. And so that, and the seriousness, of course, of the conduct. So those are all things that get factored. It's not an exact science. It comes down to judgment at the end of the day on the part of me and my colleagues in the league office. In terms of the timing, we've uncovered a fair amount of additional information. I think since I was still asked about the situation, I would say we probably could have brought it to a head now, but we made the decision, and I believe the Players Association agrees with us that it would be unfair to these players and these teams in the middle of the series to announce the results of that investigation. And given that we're, of course, in the off season, he has now been suspended by the Memphis Grizzlies indefinitely, and so nothing would have changed anyway in the next few weeks. It seemed better to park that at the moment, at least any public announcement. And my sense now is that shortly after the conclusion of the finals,
And that was Adam Silver in NBA on the Ja Morant situation. Yeah, Maz, the interesting thing about it is I've never seen Adam Silver look serious. And Adam Silver always looks happy-go-lucky.
He does.
There's a smile somewhere in his face. Even with the situation with Kyrie Irving, which is another one of those situations where the individual got suspended, there still was a level of empathy, or there was a level of hope that we get to the same page and we move forward to this. Like, this is the first time I've ever seen Adam Silver sound direct. Like, he was angry and serious. What does that mean for Ja Morant?
It doesn't sound good to me.
It doesn't.
Doesn't sound good to me. And like you guys talked about, you and Lindsey, that he's already blown his big contract, $38 million a year. My God, I hope it was worth it to you, kid. And I've seen this guy, how a good a player he is and how good a guy he is to the kids and stuff. You know, taking his jersey off, giving his sneakers to the kids that love him. I remember one game, they went to see him and he wasn't in the game. He shows up and he gives the kid, he made sure that kid come back to the next game to give him. He's got good in him.
Remember he bumped into the lady and he got thrown out of the game, but he came back, apologized to the lady. Like, these are stand-up, these are characteristics. Yeah.
That's why I loved him. And I love, he's a highlight. He's a human highlight film.
Yeah.
And for all this crap that he did, I just really, if that don't wake him up, then you can't help him. If this doesn't wake him up, you can't help him. And I'm afraid to hear what the hell the NBA found out about him going forward.
Yeah, I'm scared to hear it too. You know, one of the big things too that bothers me about the whole situation is, you know, and this is where you start to get hairy with the details. Ja Morant really technically hasn't done a crime. Like, Ja Morant hasn't.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, technically before.
Before.
He hadn't done any crimes. It's been guns on social media. It's not a good look for the NBA. I understand that. Some of the same politicians that were talking about Ja Morant, same politicians doing some of the similar things, trying to blame it under the NRA banner. Sam, here's a bigger question with Ja Morant. What do you think, based on how Adam Silver looks, how he sounds, what would the suspension be? Some people say upwards of a year. I believe that is fool's gold. Some people say half a year. I think that's fool's gold. What say you, Flannel Sam?
My initial reaction is half, maybe 20 games. I definitely don't want him to be suspended for a full year, and I don't think he's done enough to warrant a full year suspension. I'm kind of with you guys. I would love to see this guy back on the court, because when he is right, when he's playing and when he's healthy, he is one of the guys you look at as he has next as being one of the best guards in the NBA, a guy who can be first team All-NBA. And not only that, he has a good situation that he plays. And he's got Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year. He's got Desmond Bane as a co-star, who's a 22-point-a-game guy and 40% from the three. And even a guy like Luke Kennard, who as a three-point marksman is probably the best spot-up three-point shooter, at least on low volume, in the NBA. So Ja Morant, even him being so young, he's still an up-and-coming superstar. And if he's healthy and playing 70 games and healthy for the playoffs, this is a team that could, I don't know, win a championship.
Right.
It's not just him and a bunch of scrubs. They've got a squad, and I'd like to see Ja Morant fulfill his potential.
Me too. And Memphis, he's killing his team. He killed them for last year. They were rolling until he got in trouble. He killed the team. So, you know what? It's just got to come to a head, get it over with, and he's got one more chance. If he blows it, then see ya.
Hear me out on this one, and in terms of he killed his team last year, they were all to blame. Like, they all were doing way too much that wasn't on the basketball court, and they faltered down the road. Whether it was Desmond Wayne chirping, whether it was Dylan Brooks, are we not going to forget the excuse me, the rest of the year that Dylan Brooks had? There were a lot of collapses with that Memphis Grizzlies team, but none bigger than Ja Morant. Here's a question: what if Ja got moved to another city?
Yeah.
What if Ja Morant got moved to another city? And I know it's one of those things where you're like, why should we have to move an individual for him to act right? And I get it, and you're right. But that culture down there, that Memphis culture, the Memphis club scene, the hangouts, the guys that he's hanging with, they're in the streets that he's not in. Those guys that have put their arms around him, they are not for the better of Ja Morant's great. And sometimes you just got to move. What do you think about the Memphis Grizzlies doing the deal and moving him somewhere? It's for the betterment of them and Ja Morant.
I think it would suck to be a Memphis Grizzly fan. You're just giving away your best player, one of the top 10 players in the NBA.
But he would garner something. You would get something major in return for him.
All right, where are you sending him? There's other streets, you know. You're going to send him out to LeBron in L.A.? You don't think there's them streets in L.A.? You're going to send him to New York? You don't think he can get in trouble in New York? Where are you going to send him?
But this is true.
Seattle?
You bring up.
They don't have Seattle. Seattle's not here yet.
Well, they got hoods in Seattle, too. They're called Tacoma. You're absolutely correct about that. But something about that Memphis, it's the whole mixture in my eyes. It's the young culture. Who's the old guy on that team? Who's the vet?
Steven Adams.
Steven Adams ain't going to the club. Steven Adams isn't regulating and talking and kicking with those guys. I was like, they're having fun at the facility. They're having fun at NBA sanctioned events, but they're not going out and kicking it. They're not the guys that that have wrapped their arms around in that Memphis community. It's the wrong guys. I've seen cats come to Detroit. I know some guys in the city, and when I say that, I'm not talking about nice guys. I know guys that hang out on that scene. I know guys that KCP. Josh Smith. The list goes on of guys that hung out with these people and whatever. But guess what? They always were at games. They always were where they were supposed to be, and they always did right by Detroit Pistons. He's got to get out of that city and get somewhere where he's got some guys that hang with him and do so. Because it's drowning him.
It is.
Hey,
another coach came off today. A new coach. The Suns. That's right. Monty Williams leaves. Enter Frank Vogel, former head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, who won the championship in that bubble. I think they unfairly got rid of him a year after that. And here he is. All of a sudden, this guy, Matt Ishbia, says, this is my guy. I guess this is his guy. Frank Vogel is going to coach the Suns.
Breaking news, obviously, as you said, they're signing him, playing on a you said it already. There's no need to reread this. This is an understandable pickup for Matt Ishbia and the Phoenix Suns. If you look at it, Sam, bring you in on this stuff. Obviously, you look at what he did with the Lakers. He's used to having a big personality. LeBron, arguably biggest personality ever during the season. You had LeBron. You won a championship. It was in the bubble. You have that cachet. That means KD, another big superstar he's going to be working with. Devin Booker, big superstar he'll be working with. He knows the West. He knows that path. I think this could be a good situation for him. I didn't want Monty gone, but if you're going to fire somebody, Frank Vogel looks like a guy that knows how to, one, coach, but also respect the spaces of the players.
Oh, yeah. Frank Vogel, I mentioned him yesterday as a guy that probably should have never been fired from the Lakers, to be honest. I thought a championship got you some cachet nowadays, but apparently it does not. Ask Mike Budenholzer and Nick Nurse as well. But yeah, Frank Vogel, it's not just that he won in the bubble with AD and LeBron. He also was a damn good coach for those Indiana Pacers teams with Paul George and Roy Hibbert and David West and the crew.
Could have beat Miami almost.
They gave Miami more trouble than just about
Danny
any team.
Granger, ankle.
Danny Granger. They gave Miami more trouble than almost any team except the San Antonio Spurs. I believe they took them to 7 in one of those series.
They did.
The thing that really broke up the Pacers' good run was Paul George getting that freak injury in the Olympic qualifying. It wasn't necessarily Frank Vogel. It wasn't the team. They were never really the same after that. So Frank Vogel is proven in 2 spots. And if you're going to get rid of Monty Williams, a guy who got them to the NBA Finals in a 2-0 lead. You got to replace him with somebody who has even more cachet, and Frank Vogel certainly does. He deserves to be a head coach in the NBA. That's the bottom line.
He does, and I think Matt Ishbia looked into all that. I think Matt Ishbia weighed all those options, and finally he said, you know what, if this guy can win with LeBron, if this guy can be good enough to do that, then he can win here for us in Phoenix, and I think it's going to be
and
a
he gets
situation.
a fresh year with KD, and maybe that
fresh
team,
start.
yeah, maybe that team really is a player next year. It's got to be one of Chris Paul's last chances, right?
How many legs does he have? Because I feel like he's been on his last leg since the hamstring with the Houston Rockets.
You got to nurse him through the season and get him ready for the playoffs. At least that's what you do. Regular season is meaningless.
Having KD will help out with that now. I mean, you saw how efficient Devin Booker was allowed to be with KD as well as Devin Booker was playing. People still were double teaming KD and allowing him to do those things. So, Maz, what else you got around the NBA?
Another former head coach, and one of my favorites is Jeff Van Gundy. And you hear him every day on the finals with Mike Breen and Mark Jackson. Well, Jeff Van Gundy came up with a little something here on how to speed up the NBA game. And as far as speeding up a game, I think 2 hours is a fine game. But these could be the worst rules I have ever seen in my entire life. Let me read a couple of them to you if you can't read them. He wants to eliminate free throws until the last 4 minutes. He says if you get fouled on a shooting foul, you just get the points. You don't go to the line.
So you automatically get two?
You get the points.
So what about guys like LeBron James that can't shoot free throws?
Exactly. How about this? You don't go to the line for a technical free throw. They're just points. So if you get a technical, it's a point.
So
and then he says,
I don't mind that one. I don't mind giving a point for a technical.
No.
I don't mind.
You're going to earn it.
I don't mind that.
You got to earn it.
I don't mind that.
How about
you shouldn't have got the technical.
Here's one. And I don't mind this one.
You still got the boo going on, say?
I don't mind this one.
Okay.
But the owners are going to mind this one.
Something with the money?
No. He's going to eliminate halftime.
What?
He says halftime is the biggest waste of time. He'd say, I reduce it to 5 minutes at most. Or just so they can go to the bathroom and come back out. So Jeff Van Gundy's rules to speed up the NBA game. What say you?
Do you realize the Los Angeles Lakers Showtime was born on the halftime show?
No kidding.
Jesus Christ. Listen, man, Jeff Van Gundy, I've never liked him. Like, he just looks like somebody you don't like and despise. He's always got something to say about the people that I like too, the players that I like. So I just never liked him.
Did you remember when he went out and defended his Knicks team?
He got his ass
Alonzo
whooped. That was the only time I cheered.
He grabbed Alonzo Mourning by his ankle. He was getting dragged around.
And he got stolen. I'm going to say Marcus Camby. His own player hit him. That's what he just see. Things like that don't happen. It's energy. It's karma you put out to the universe.
God.
And whatever karma he put out there got him hit.
Forget about not liking him. What do you think of his rules?
No, they're just like him. I don't like them. I did like the one about the tech though.
Okay.
You give the automatic tech. I don't mind that. Sometimes that's a waste of time.
Guys, what do you guys in the chat?
And then you got guys like Steph Curry. Like that's a guaranteed point.
In the chat, what do you guys think about no free throws? No technical fouls. You just get the points. No halftime or a 5-minute max halftime. I want to hear from the chat. Sam, I got to hear from you. I know you got something. All
right, cool. Let's get into some Detroit Lions topic. And also yesterday, we interviewed James Houston IV. For those of you that didn't see it, we'll be playing that again at 3:40. But first, we will get a message from Les Stanford.
Absolutely. Les Stanford has expanded into Ferndale, a trusted name for over 50 years. Les Stanford Buick GMC. Same great service that customers have come to know. Go check them out on Woodward, just south of 9 Mile. Of course, looking for a Chevy or Cadillac, Les Stanford in Dearborn is your place to go. Find the brand you want at lesstanford.com. lesstanford.com.
Find new roads. Find them.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
You heard that right. Only network that starts with a W. That's WoodwardSportsNetwork.com. I am Braylon Edwards. This is my man Tom Mazawey. Fellas, JB, Flannel Sam in the booth. JB, how you doing over there?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm
good?
Yeah, just good. Sucks that we got this construction going on, but I'm good.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is happening until August. They say
It's such like Birmingham's such a confined space.
you hear that?
You can hear.
I
yeah,
hear
I
a
hear
wrecking
it.
ball
It's
outside
upstairs.
in the street. We're in a studio,
Yeah.
100 yards away, a couple of 100 yards away,
if that.
And here we can still hear the wrecking ball, wrecking Brown Street off of
100.
Woodward Avenue.
100%. Sounds amazing. What else sounds amazing? Flannel Sam, you didn't get a chance to react. And that is to what we talked about last segment. So, man, set it up for
Jeff
me.
Van Gundy has his new rules to speed up the NBA game. He says no more free throws, even on technical fouls. If you get a foul, you get the point. If you get a technical foul, you get a point. He says
no halftime.
Knock halftime down to 5 minutes or less, just so the guys can go to the bathroom. And Sam, what say you?
I mean, first off, you guys mentioned it at the beginning. Why do NBA games need to be speeded up? They're like 2 hours.
Yeah, they're not long enough.
I mean, what are we trying to do? Be in and out in an hour and a half? It's not even worth the price of admission at that point. And the whole free throw thing, that's obviously the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, who actually agrees with this stuff? And I think, Maz, what was it? Until the last 4 minutes of each half, and then you'd have to shoot free throws. You know who would really benefit from that?
Not Joel Embiid.
Not Joel Embiid. But remember, imagine if Shaq and Wilt Chamberlain just got their free throws, just those points automatically given to them.
Good call.
They would have been even more dominant than if Shaq or Wilt Chamberlain had their free throws, just those points given to them. They would be the 2 greatest basketball players who ever lived.
You left 3 people off that list.
Who'd I leave off?
You left off Dwight Howard.
Yes.
Could not shoot free throws.
Nope.
You left out our own Ben Wallace.
Maybe then I'd say he is a Hall of Famer.
And then you left off LeBron James.
Well, LeBron isn't as bad of a free throw shooter as all those guys.
He was 65 for the first 12 years of his career.
You know what? I will give you this. You expect me to yell and scream. I will not.
I'm just trying to help you get some more points.
I will not. Because LeBron James, that is the one area of his game where I thought he would be better at. Where you think he left some points on the table. He wasn't a terrible free throw shooter, but he was an underwhelming free throw shooter.
All right, in the chat, let me read these. They got a ton of stuff on the chat.
They got some stuff.
Rada says, I agree with the halftime show. Michael Lene says, Jeff Van Gundy is a bozo.
Thank you.
Uncle Neil's soft feet. He's got 3 clown emojis.
For what?
For Jeff Van Gundy.
Oh, thank you. He should be 6. He got multiplied by his brother too.
Oh yeah, that's true. I
Get
forgot
the whole
about
family.
that. Mikey G says Bozo D Van Gundy.
Yes.
Let's see. Jake Wegner says, as a fan, I would like to see no halftime. Need that bathroom break and hit the concessions. But he don't want it either. So let's see what else we got.
But then when you went to a game, let me ask you that, not to cut those off. But if you go to a game, there's no halftime show. Will you just run up real quick, use the bathroom, come back?
I guess so.
Concessions, like what?
Here's the thing with me. If I'm going somewhere, if I'm driving a long way, I go to the bathroom before I go. I don't need to be going to the bathroom every freaking half hour, 20 minutes. I can hold my pee.
Okay.
All right. If I got to really go, then you got to really go. All right. You got to hope that you don't overeat, get sick, and have to really go, if you know what I mean. And besides that, I don't need to use the freaking bathroom as much as everyone.
But you know,
I don't drink beer.
But you know the other good thing about the concessions, when your team is bad as the Detroit Pistons, you need that 20 minutes to converse with other fans about did they see what you just saw?
Good point. Let's see. Here's another one. Movies with Lauren says Jeff Van Gundy needs to zip it, stick to color commentating. He's proving why he doesn't coach anymore. I agree with Bray.
I agree with
Homeboy
that.
looks like the kid in class that snitched.
Oh, 100%.
Mazed Up says halftime. Okay, I see it. Foul shots, no way, and on and on and on. There's no one here really that agrees with the free throw lines. Not even R.L. Polson.
I just try to agree with something.
Marcus Canby was another name out there. Coach Mike Jones says, "Where's Marcus Canby?"
He's hey, you know what? I think Jeff Van Gundy got him in trouble because after he punched Jeff Van Gundy, man,
he was blackballed.
No, I take it back because he actually had a really good career with the Denver Nuggets
when
he left the New York Knicks. Well, you know what? We teased it before. You want to talk some Lions?
Heck
You
yeah.
want to finish the great
Lions
week that we've
fans.
had talking about the Detroit Lions?
Lion fans.
Maz, set us up for your Detroit Lions.
Yesterday, as you guys know, Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, all the players, they spoke to the media. We had Matt Broder out there, Gabby Phillips out there, repping Woodward Sports. And OTAs are done now, guys. So what do they call it when you don't have to be there? Voluntary. Well, guess what?
In air quotes.
That word is gone now, starting on Tuesday when voluntary. Well, it's not voluntary anymore. It's
mandatory.
Mini camp. That's right. Mandatory mini camp starts on Tuesday. So yesterday, Dan Campbell spoke to the media. Somebody in probably Dave Burkett probably asked him, "What do you think of Jamison Williams? What do you think when he tweeted back with Lamar Jackson saying, 'Oh man, what a great quarterback. Oh, we'd love to have you over here.'" And just J-Mo in practice the last couple of days. Here's Dan Campbell on J-Mo number 9.
But I do believe it was harmless. I don't, and honestly, when I saw it, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. You know, Goff knows where he stands. You know, the team knows. So I don't think it's a big deal. You know, I think he was just more than anything, he's like, "Hey, I like Lamar." More than, "Hey, yeah, I got to have him. I don't like," you know, he never said that. It's a little bit like the catch thing. Would you like more targets? Somebody said, "Hey, you need to get him the ball more." He said, "I liked it." What does that mean? He's not bitching about getting more balls. It's just, yeah, okay, cool. I like that comment. So I just don't think it's a huge deal. Now, as far as the other, look, he's a work in progress. You know, he's got room to grow and develop, to continue to mature as a player, a person in this league. And I do see growth. I see growth, and that's what all you can ask for.
That's why I love Dan Campbell. This is exactly what I said when we talked about it.
Took the heat right off him.
This is why he's going to be a damn fine head coach in the NFL and for years to come. Starting with this, when you just came up, we talked about it. Ryan sat there, you sat right there, and I said, "Look, man, this guy grew up in Florida. This guy, like Lamar Jackson, is an icon." Yep. I remember when Charles Woodson was getting ready to get traded or released from the Oakland Raiders. They were in Oakland at the time. I grew up idolizing Charles Woodson. We've had him on the show. He's my Michigan brother. He's an individual, I say it's not even close, who's the best player at Michigan ever was. When he came up, I wanted to play with Charles Woodson. I wanted to play with Charles Woodson. Darrelle Revis was my DB at the time. And then we would later get Antonio Cromartie. But I wanted Charles Woodson. Had nothing to do with Darrelle Revis. Had nothing to do with who's on the other side. It had to do with how damn good I believed he was. And the same thing for J-Mo. This is Lamar Jackson. For his generation, for his era, Lamar Jackson is Mike Vick. Like Mike Vick for my era. It's just one of those things. So it's nothing against that.
If you remember Michael Brockers when he came here, remember what happened with him?
100.
He got in the trick bag saying, "Oh yeah, great, I get to play with Matthew Stafford now, blah blah blah," and then Matthew Stafford gets traded to his old team, the Rams. Then he had the backpedal, and it's fine. And Jared Goff got it. I'm sure it hurt him a little. It's got to stick you a little, but it was no big deal.
The problem is the fans, the people online, they make things more than they are.
Well,
It's us.
Shows.
We make things more than they are. But there's something that Dan Campbell said that I paid attention to and I wrote it down. He said he loved the progress. He loves the maturity. He said he's a work in progress, but he likes the maturity that he's doing. He's got to continue to mature, which means he's seeing growth in him. And then he talked about all things will heal if you just keep staying the course. I think that's a good, positive message. That's the message you're looking for. Last time we heard anybody speak on Jameson Williams, it didn't sound like that. Right. Brad Holmes spoke and he wasn't excited about it. Dan Campbell spoke and he wasn't excited. At least now it seems to be like there's some optimism from Jameson Williams.
They threw out D-Hop's name yesterday, and that's why he mentioned J-Mo's progress. It's kind of him saying, "Look, we're not going to sign D-Hop.
This is our guy."
Yeah, we got our guy. It's going to take 6 weeks before we get him at the start. Don't forget, this kid can practice with the team, be with the team all the way up to the regular season. Once the regular season starts, then he's got to sit. I'm pretty sure he can't practice during the regular season. Am I correct on that?
No, he cannot practice during the regular season.
That's going to suck.
Yeah, well, I think my second year with the New York Jets, Antonio Holmes was on a 4-game suspension, and he couldn't play during training camp. Then he couldn't as well during the season. But when he came in there, we got him going right away, and he had some magnificent plays that got us to the playoffs that year. All right, Maz, let's take a break, talk about Planet Fitness for 2 seconds, and then when we come back, we got some more Lions talk.
We do.
Panay Sewell, something interesting that he wants to be.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that when we get back. But first, a message, like we said, Planet Fitness.
Of course.
P-Fit.
Planet Fitness is thrilled to allow high schoolers ages 14 through 19 in the United States and Canada to work out for free all summer long. You can begin now and go through August 31st. Teens can register anytime and officially gain access to the club as soon as you register, with registration open during the summer months through August 31st. And for anybody else, Planet Fitness is the best gym to go to, as all the amenities with membership starting at only $10 a month.
Only $10?
Only $10, or you can upgrade to the Black Card for $24.99 per month and get even more special amenities. Join in club today or go online to planetfitness.com. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Essential.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Going into year 2 for us as an offense, it really becomes less about learning the system all over again. It's more, our theme this springtime has been back to the basics. And so we've been harping consistently on the fundamentals.
And that was Ben Johnson yesterday at minicamp talking about last year they put the system in play. This year it's not about putting it in. It's about more so, in my mind, it's perfecting it.
Year 2.
And I think he's absolutely right. When you put an offense in and it starts to work, there are going to be games in which you come against a better defense. There are going to be teams that know how to, scout against that. There'll be teams that just aren't better than you. But then you start to come into your own in year 2 is when you put the nuances on the mask.
Yep.
It's when you know exactly how the car drives. And you know the little, I know I can turn it here. I know I can tweak it here. I know if I get it up to 70 and crank it here. They're in that process now of they know their car, and now they want to be elite.
Hey, when they hired Dan Campbell and he brought the staff in, he said it's a 3-year project. It's year 3 right now. But last year was really the big step. That's why we're calling it year 2. Because the first year was a throwaway. You saw him stay in some games. Obviously, you saw maybe there's a flicker of hope. Then they said those magic words, we're going to run it back with the same guys. And they did. And it kind of worked, right? Especially at the end of the year. Beginning of the year, the defense was trash. At the end of the year, the defense was probably top 15 in the league. And they almost made it, guys. We almost had our first playoff in, since 2014 or so, maybe 16. I forget what it was, but we weren't going to win that year anyway. Last year, they really had a chance to win. This year, they've taken it up to the next level, man. And it starts with the kids that they developed, the kids that they took. And I just saw, we got ESPN on the background, and I saw Micah Parsons. Then Damian Woody was chatting about Micah Parsons. You see all the plays he makes. He's all over the field. But that same year, a guy named Panay Sewell was drafted here in Detroit. And he is a leader, man.
He is. Panay Sewell, he announced this year that he wants to take on more of a leadership role with the Detroit Lions. First year wasn't more so as a leader, learning under Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow. Kind of start seeing him take some leadership roles last year. Saw him break down a couple of times during the game.
The first year, remember when he stood up to
and Aaron Donald? Aaron Donald.
To me, that's when I really fell in love with the kid.
I'm telling you,
I fell in love with them that day.
Samoans are built a little different.
Jeez,
they're built a little different. But him wanting to take a leadership role this season, this is year 3. He's ready. This is going to be his all-pro year. I'm predicting it now.
I agree.
It's good because he's a quiet guy. He's a quiet guy, but he wants to take the leadership role, man. I think this is going to be really good for that offense. They need a voice. Like, if we're being honest, they need a voice. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a guy they trust. He catches everything. He's where he's supposed to be. He's a leader. But a voice like Penei Sewell, it could take them to the next level.
Hey, number 58, he even looks like he's slimmed down. He's in better shape now than he has been since he came here. He had that baby fat on him. He looks like he's mean, lean, fighting machine. And here he is yesterday at OTAs.
Actually, one of the teammates came up to me. I was like, man, you got to talk. It's really good. So I just kind of stepped into that role and just let my heart speak. Right. And just ran from there.
You heard him, man. He wants to be a leader, and he is stepping up his game. And to be a leader on that offensive line, man, you played.
Yeah.
How many guys on the offensive line have you played with that could be a Penei Sewell?
Oh, I mean, I played with Nick Mangold. I played with Alan Faneca.
Did they have that? Did they have that leadership quality?
Nick Mangold did. Like Nick Mangold definitely did. Joe Thomas.
There you go.
Joe Thomas, he definitely did.
He probably was the leader of that team.
He was. Jonathan Goodwin, who was he was a 2-time Pro Bowler, center, played in Michigan. I played with him in Michigan. He was like that for the 49ers. He was a really good center. He was a really good leader of that unit, who had Joe Staley, who was an All-Pro. You had Mike Iupati, who was a Pro Bowler. Like Jonathan Goodwin was. But he's in that era with Nick Mangold. You're talking about Damian Woody. Damian Woods, another guy who won some Super Bowl rings. So playing with those guys, I see that too. And Penei Sewell, he's unrelenting. He speaks when he's supposed to. He talks soft, but he carries a big stick. What say you, Flano?
Yeah, Penei Sewell is on the short list of guys on this team who you could say is the best overall player on this team. And he's obviously one of the younger guys, although with another couple of rookie classes coming in, he's going to soon become the veteran. If this team is going to hit their potential, especially this offense, Penei Sewell is going to be a big part of it. I predict that Penei Sewell is the most likely player on this team to make an All-Pro. I'm not saying he's going to do it this year, but he is going to make one the fastest. And the fact that he's taking a leadership role, it works out. It works out great. He is the type of guy that the Detroit Lions need. And when you looked at him in that interview, he looks fantastic. He looks lean and mean. It's like Penei Sewell is now like, muscles Penei Sewell. So I love it. This is great news for the Detroit Lions. I think we got our potential future Hall of Fame guy.
Yeah, and you got to be honest. I mean, you think about it. You talk about he looked a lot better and a lot different. You're absolutely right. But think about this. How old was Penei Sewell when we drafted him? He's 19 years old.
Yeah, and he sat out his last year.
He's a kid.
Yeah.
Penei Sewell was a kid that's growing up on the job. Now you see him, he's starting to come into those mature years. And not only do I like this from the standpoint of just him wanting to be a leader, him wanting to lead this team that's a damn good offense, but also that means he wants to put more onus on himself. Let's call a spade a spade. Penei Sewell last 2 years as a right guard, I want to say, and I could be wrong, right tackle, slam, I want to say he's second or first in penalties. Second or first in penalties acquired since he's been in the NFL and starting at right tackle. So by him wanting to be a leader, that means he wants to put more onus in himself. That means he's ready to eliminate penalties, because you cannot lead without be leading by example. So that is another thing the Lions fans should look out for.
Do you think he'll eventually go back to his original spot, left tackle? Or do you think this is it? He's a right tackle going forward.
I think he's so talented right now, and you look at Taylor Decker and the years coming up on him, he won't get a second contract in my estimation.
He already got it.
Well, in terms of like the long run, I could see it happening. But for right now, why mess up a good thing? The way in which this thing is clicking for the Detroit Lions, it is clicking as is. Taylor left, Penei right, Frank right, Frank middle.
Yep.
That's how it's operating for them, so leave it alone.
Hey, man, one of the guys that we spoke to, last month, it's a guy one of the new guys here from the Pittsburgh Steelers in Cam Sutton, and we had him on, and he couldn't have been nicer. Could not have been nicer. And someone asked him about being in Detroiter now. Here's what he had to say yesterday at OTAs.
And it just feels like obviously a second home. You guys have embraced me with open arms, and just having that love and that energy behind you makes you want to run through a wall for a city. You know what I mean? So.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, this is the type of love that
they're getting the bright players.
But this is the type of love the city of Detroit has always wanted. When you look at guys that make it here, when you look at teams that are immortal here, you think about Darren McCarty, who sits exactly where you sit. You think about him and the Red Wings of that era and why they're immortalized. They gave the city all that they wanted, and they gave them more. But at the end of the day, they just gave them energy. They gave them all the energy. They put forth everything that they had. Think about all the Lions fans at the Lions
fans.
Look at all the Lions fans, the Lions players
fans.
that Lions fans have loved over the years. It's guys that give all their.
Yeah.
Chris Spielman is the first guy that comes to mind. But why is he so beloved? He came to every game. He showed up. He gave you all he had. He left it all in the field. Lomas Brown. Lomas is a fan of the show. The players that we love were the players that get, even Barry. Now, we don't like how the situation ended. Barry was there all the time.
Yeah.
He was there for the team, and that's what I think you're saying with these Detroit Lions. They're all there and want to give it all.
Sam, you a Cam Sutton fan going forward here? What's your take on Cam?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a Cam Sutton fan moving forward. I think he's going to be the #1 corner on this team, and I'll tell you what, he's coming off of his best season of his career as a full-time starter with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It wouldn't shock me at all if Cam Sutton makes a Pro Bowl at some point during his time with Detroit, if he has his best years of his career during his time with Detroit. And I'll tell you what, he's got a pretty good secondary around him to help him out with guys like Emmanuel Mosley and Kirby Joseph and
C.J. Gardner-Johnson,
then Brian Branch, Tracy Walker, all of that. And also, that pass rush, I think, is going to make quarterbacks get rid of the ball fast, so maybe Cam Sutton can get some interceptions. And I mean, last season, he allowed less than a 70 passer rating when targeted. That is elite. And I think he can continue that this year with Detroit. I really do.
Speaking about that secondary, and you mentioned one of the guys I'm going to talk about right now, and it's everybody's favorite. It's Aaron Rodgers' daddy, right? It's Kirby Joseph. Someone asked him, hey, you don't have Aaron Rodgers to kick around anymore.
Ooh, y'all trying to stop.
You feel like you played a part in it, though? You had his last pick, his last throw?
You know what I'm saying? I heard in Green Bay wasn't working out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He gonna do his thing, I'm gonna do my thing.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with Famous Los off Instagram. He's an Instagram influencer. He always talking about Steph Curry and shooting shots. He plays basketball. Kirby Joseph looks just like Famous Los. But I love that energy. Like personality.
It's infectious.
One of the big things we lost in Jamal Williams, we lost the personality. Whether you like Naruto.
There he is.
I was just about to say it. Whether you like Naruto or not, whether you like anime, you loved Jamal Williams for being him. You love that energy. I think Kirby Joseph can provide that spark, and he's on defense. I always like it a little more when that personality comes from defense, because defense, you can afford to be a little more fun when you're defense. On offense, a little more serious. You got to look for audibles. You got to look for checks at the lines. They rotate to this side. You can't be a serious defense. You can have a little more fun.
And I saw your Twitter yesterday. You saw Kirby's face. You saw his free JMO T-shirt.
I saw it.
And you wrote Big Ten.
Hey, it's the
Big Ten.
It's that Big Ten energy, man. J-Mo started off in Ohio State. Ohio State is a part of the Big Ten, of course. Like, that's that Big Ten energy, man. Like, one thing about it, we support our own. We may hate each other, but we support our own against anybody else, because it is the Big Ten versus everybody else.
Absolutely. And Kirby Joseph, I mean, he really endeared himself to Detroit Lions obviously by being a damn good rookie. He forced 6 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and 2 fumbles, and it doesn't hurt that 3 of them were against our nemesis as Detroit Lions fans, Aaron Rodgers himself, including basically closing down Lambeau Field to end the season and closing out Aaron Rodgers' career with the Green Bay Packers. He is a guy, Kirby Joseph, that I think just has a nose for the football, is a guy that you could almost pencil in as 3 to 6 interceptions per year, and hopefully this year he becomes a little bit better in coverage from the beginning of the year. But Kirby Joseph is a ball hawk and a playmaker, and I'm very, very glad that he is a Detroit Lion.
If Aaron Rodgers does not work out for the team that I have across my chest, and that's the New York Jets, you can argue that Kirby Joseph himself retired Aaron Rodgers, because the last thing that you will remember is Aaron Rodgers falling from grace in terms of becoming immortal. Well, it seems like Kirby Joseph is the guy that made him immortal.
And who else? Who did Aaron Rodgers walk out with?
Randall
Cobb. He chased them both out of town.
He did.
To New York.
He did. I wish we were playing the Jets this year.
That would have been fun.
Oh, man, that would have been
That would have been fun.
That would have been
But it's okay. Let's just play our schedule.
Yeah.
Get our 11.
It's hard enough.
Get our 11, 12 wins.
Yeah.
Cross my fingers.
We'll
and get to the
happen.
playoffs. Win that damn division. get in the playoffs and win a game here, guys.
There we go. One last segment. We told you guys the interview from yesterday with James Houston IV. We will be showing that next segment, but we will sign off. But first, a message from Lady James.
That's it.
Absolutely. My second Lady James read of the day. I love it. And I got another opportunity to tell you how they got me looking so fly over at Lady James. All of the hairstylists do a great job.
Do they dig your flannel?
Absolutely,
All
they
right.
do. And you know what? You know who else loves my haircuts from Lady James? My very own wife.
There you go.
Nikki.
That's all that matters.
Oh, Nikki Flannel.
Shout out to Nikki Flannel, yes. And you can walk into any Lady James for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, 1 for you and 1 for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Lady James open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network. We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
All right, last segment for myself, Tom Mazawey, and JB, as well as Flannel Sam. It's been a great week for us, great week for you guys supporting, being there for us, watching, as we've had some great interviews, some great people on. Shout out to Lindsey Hunter, who joined us, and also James Houston IV, who after we speak now, his interview will come up. Maz, what you got going, man? This weekend, man. It's beautiful. What you got?
Well, Lindsey Hunter and you talked me out of going anywhere, but the traffic and all this construction. So I am going to open up.
I'm still going.
I'm opening up the pool this week.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to open it up, do my best. My brother-in-law, Dave, usually helps me with it, but he's away this weekend, so I'm just going to do what I know what to do. I'll try to take the cover off and just fill it up a little bit and maybe hook a couple things up. I really don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'll do the best I can.
Yeah.
That's all I can do, and I wish everyone a great weekend.
Same. JB, what you got going on? Plans?
Just checking out Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse. We got the Stanley Cups this weekend, the
That's
finals,
right.
and then Game 2.
Yeah. Go Panthers!
We got Game 2 of the Nuggets and the Heat, which I'm kind of leaning towards Maz. I think
I'm feeling the Heat.
I think the Heat might bounce back on this one, so it'll be a good weekend.
Flannel Sam, my Nugget buddy, what you got, buddy?
Yes, and I completely disagree with you, JB
you.
and Maz, by
Finally,
the way.
somebody
But that's all right.
lies.
Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I've been proven wrong a lot in
Yes,
my
you
day.
have.
Hey, but some things I am dead right about. But you know what? That's neither here nor there. This weekend, I made a vow this summer to enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy the outdoors,
Good.
never have any regrets like I do for most summers. So I think me and the wife are gonna maybe try to hit up a park or two, maybe go to our condo association pool across the street, and
look at
maybe hit up a downtown or two for a nice dinner date. So perfect weekend for me. I think it'll be enjoyable. I hope we all have a great weekend. You in the chat too.
I'll make this one very simply. The Nuggets, the Panthers, family, friends, and the city of Detroit. That is all that's on the agenda this weekend for me. It's been an exciting week with you guys. Love always being with you. Great chemistry, great time. Flannel Sam, always a pleasure. JB, no one does it better. And now, the interview we did yesterday, amazing interview. Check it out. Charles, I'm thinking about Charles Harris. Oh my God, James Houston IV. Check it out.
We're gonna wait because we got our main man on the phone.
Is that right? Is he in here?
We do.
Well, without further ado, let me introduce We got him. James Houston, the fourth Detroit Lions, 6th-round draft pick last year. 8 games, 7 sacks. But that's not even half of the 16 and a half sacks his last year at Jackson State. That's the one that's most impressive. Sir, how you doing?
Hey, James.
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazawey, Woodward Sports, man. Glad to have you on. The fans, they've been chomping at the bit to learn a little bit more about James Houston. Hey, first of all, I lived in Miami, lived in Coconut Grove, spent a lot of time down there, and I always noticed, man, the Florida boys, they cut different, man. I spent time with Chad Ochocinco, Willis McGay, he's my partner, played with Frank Gore. Man, that love down in San Antonio. What is it in the water in Florida? Because y'all boys are cut different in a good way.
Well, it's that Florida water, man. I don't know what it is, man. We grow up just very competitive, man. There's so much talent down there. We just go at it since we are youngins, you know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like we bred for it, we meant for it. So.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely bred for it, played at Heritage. How many guys coming out of Heritage, man? Like, there's some guys in the league. Patrick Surtain the second, Brandon Johnson, Isaiah McKenzie, yourself. American Heritage is putting these guys out. Speaking of the devil, you're rocking that number 4 right there.
Looking good, man.
I want to talk about this. I want to ask you, first question I want to ask, if that's okay. Talk about having 16 and a half sacks at Jackson State and then getting drafted in the 6th round and then being cut and then being brought back. What's your thought process before you get to Thanksgiving against the Bills?
Yeah, so that's kind of like my story. My football career has been all over the place. From, just really playing almost 1 year of high school, being hurt my senior year, going to college, having my stint at Florida, not really seeing the field too much, just certain issues and stuff. Then heading to Jackson State, and they switched my position, so I'm a DN now. Got to figure out how to play that position in a new league with running quarterbacks, different coaches, different schemes. And just going out there and just being determined, I feel like that's all it was really about. I wasn't going to be denied. And I feel like that kind of same theme just kind of runs in my whole story. Like, I'm just kind of that guy that's not going to give up. I'm always going to be around. I'm going to be right around. And if you give me my chance, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to do everything I can with it. And so them 16 and a half sacks, man, I really had to work for those back in Jackson. It was really fun, though. That was probably the funnest year I ever had playing football. Just being with those guys and celebrating and just everything. It was real fun.
Speaking of resiliency, Detroit Lions fans, they know you as a DN. They know you as an edge rusher. But at Florida, you were a linebacker. Your favorite player was Patrick Willis. You had 8 tackles, SEC championship game. And then you go to Jackson State and you move. Talk about what Coach Weeks and that coaching staff meant to you in terms of guiding you, helping you out, kind of letting you know, we think this might be it for you.
Yeah, those guys were like, it's kind of hard to put in words what they mean to my career because they really like transitioned everything. And they really worked with me, they believed in me. They saw that I had this certain ability. And they didn't let even myself, deter that. Because I was very, I've been a linebacker all my life, so I wanted to play linebacker. Okay. And they allowed me to really just dwell in and focus on this one position because they saw the ability that I had. And they work with me every day. I never gave up on them. They never gave up on me, and we just had a great time. It was a great time. We learned a lot from each other. I wish the best for all of those guys that have moved on or if they're still there.
Hey, James, I know you're a Patrick Willis guy, and they're kind of using you now like the Dallas Cowboys are using Micah Parsons, which I love. I'm a big Micah Parsons fan. I think there are a lot of people that are out there. Who did you try to develop your game after? Was it Willis, or was there another guy that you looked at and said, I got to be like that guy?
Yeah, so coming up, that's who I kind of wanted to be like. I wanted to be like Patrick Willis, that in-the-box linebacker that can stuff up holes, but also I can run sideline to sideline, go get running backs, also cover a little bit. That's really what I wanted to be. Also, like a player like Brian Shazier, he's from Broward County.
Oh, yeah.
A guy that he was a triple guy, probably way faster than me, but a sideline to sideline guy can stuff the hole and can also, play a little of the pass coverage and stuff. So that was really always my goal. I always had D linemen friends, so it was always funny. I was always kind of looking at the D linemen, they would be looking at looking at, pass rush reps and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, oh, that look kind of cool,
But you would like to load in the linebacker like that look cool, but at the same time, and it's funny. I actually played with P Dub in 2011. He practice is how he played. We had to tell him, I'm like, yo,
Okay.
P Dub, man, I'm 8 years in. You don't have to hit me like that. You don't got to hit me like that in practice. But talk about, so you go through, they draft you, then they cut you, then they bring you back, then you're on practice squad for 12 weeks. And then they tell you before that Buffalo game, like, we've seen what you've done. We like what you've done. We're going to give you a shot. Talk about how your mind shifted from being on practice squad to all of a sudden you're playing against the Buffalo Bills on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy because
2 sacks.
So for like those first 6 weeks, I was just, on practice squad, and then, coach starts getting in my ear telling me like, oh, there's a chance you could be up. We like what you're doing. We feel like we could use you. When the roster ends up being right, we're gonna pull you up. And so that was week 6. So I had 6 weeks of feeling like this may be the week. This may be the week. Yeah. And so I was very locked in. I was just trying to get better. Really, my mindset when I was on practice squad was to get better for the next year. That's really what my mindset was. And after he told me that, it was like, okay, let's lock in a little bit more. And so if you ever get your chance, if anything ever happens, you're ready to go. Coming up, seeing some of the guys go down, I was kind of looking. I was like, man, I feel like I almost kind of got to go in, but they didn't tell me nothing that first day. So I was like, okay, maybe not. But let's just stay locked in. And once coach told me, I was like, man, when I tell you every single story that the vets, anybody that had ever told me they ever been in the league about being on practice squad and coming up, I was like, bro, I'm not going back to practice squad. There's no way. Like, I gotta make sure. Like, I gotta show them something, so I don't go back. And I went out there and I had 2 sacks. That's something probably I didn't really think that was gonna happen. I always knew I had the ability, but sometimes it's just you got to be put in that right situation.
2 sacks in 5 plays. 2 sacks in 5 plays you got in there, you made 2 sacks. And that's kind of really where the run started for the Detroit Lions. Obviously, you lose that game by the skin of your teeth, but that's when the run started. 8 of the last 10, you were very integral in that period. Just talk about how the team got going, you getting to the quarterback, Aiden getting to the quarterback, Kirby Joseph getting interceptions, that young class last year, that rookie class, you guys start balling. Talk about that the last 10 games.
Yeah, that's really exciting, man. Just seeing all the rookies kind of coming together and doing what, they brought us here to do. And I'm really excited for next year. Everybody's making that jump from year 1 to year 2. We've all seen the game. It's all going to probably slow down for us a little bit and allow us to make even more plays. And some of the other young guys that we've added can be a great part in that. And then some of the free agents and stuff that we got are going to be a big part of the defense. And so I'm really excited. Everybody should be elevating their game. The whole team should be elevating as a whole. And so I feel like we have high expectations for ourselves. And so we just got to keep that standard.
Hey, Lions second-year linebacker, number 41. That's right. That's his name. It's James Houston IV joining us. You can catch him on Twitter, by the way, at JT Houston _4. Now, James, I never seen a guy get lower than you on the line of scrimmage.
Oh my God.
I don't know how the heck you do it, but is it all from the legs? What are you working on to get that low?
I don't even know, man. That's just always something that I naturally kind of just used. I was never like the tallest guy on the field, but I always was long. I have long arms, so I like to keep people kind of at distance, and so that dip kind of helps when you keep them at distance. And then you just I'm in that 6'5", 320. That's hard for them to just kind of try to dip down real quick as quick as that I am. And so it's just something that I've learned being at the position. I'm only been at the position 2 years, so I'm picking up little tips and tricks that work for me.
Yeah.
That I've seen that have worked for other people as well. Von Miller is one that uses that dip very, very, very
58.
well.
Hey, where'd you get that hesitation move too? You got that little hitch too. I mean, you're doing something, man.
I feel like that might come from maybe my running back days. I used to play a little running back in Little League, and so Had a little stick, you know.
I see it.
Had a
Little
man.
jit. I like it.
Hey, all right, here we go. Last year is last year. The Lions were the hottest team in football at the end of the year, and partially thanks to you. But now we look ahead to 2023. You guys are on national television, man, to open the season against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. What are you guys in the room talking about? And I know you're talking about that game already. What are you looking forward to in that game?
I think everybody as a whole is very excited for the game. Obviously, we kick off the NFL season, so everybody will be watching. We play the Super Bowl champions, so that's going to be a challenge in its own. And I feel like everybody's just excited to kind of see where we are as a team, where we are as individual players as well. So I feel like we're all just going to be almost like blood in the water, you know, just like sharks smelling that blood and just trying to get anything and everything that we can in that game, just to kind of prove ourselves. I feel like that's just the type of team that we are. Always out to prove ourselves, never going back down, always just very accepting of the challenge. And I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm going to accept that challenge. Whoever I got to get by to go get one of the best quarterbacks in the game. And so that's my goal. So, yeah.
Talking to Detroit Lions second-year edge rusher James Houston, the fourth, talking about this season coming up against the Kansas City to open it out, and I think the Thursday open it up. What are you thinking about for this year? Let's talk about James Houston. Like, what are your goals this year? Last year, 8 games, 7 sacks. You played tremendous. You had a good year. What are your goals going into this year? You know, just share them with us a little bit. Not all of it, just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So being as, you know, my role is majority pass rush, getting sacks and stuff of that nature, I just want to expand on that. Anything else that they give me, I'll be super happy, super blessed and fortunate to have. But, you know, what I did was extraordinary. I set NFL records. And so I honestly just want to continue to build on that. I want to double up my sack total. If I can get that this year, that would be my dream.
Heck
and
yeah.
So
that's 20 sacks.
Anything on top of that would be like, man, you really put in that work to really get what you wanted. And so I'm really excited. I'm keeping my options open, but sacks are probably going to be one of the main things that I'm looking for.
Well, you heard it from him. He's trying to get to that quarterback, and we love it. Have you had a chance to get out of Detroit a little bit? Switching gears, open up some fun stuff. Have you had a chance to get to Coney Island? Have you had a chance to get to LCA for a concert? Have you had a chance to do some Detroit staple things?
Go Tigers.
There you go. Go Tigers. Talk about them.
Yeah, so I've been out in Detroit a little bit.
Okay.
I stay downtown. I like to kind of immerse myself in the city, right over there by the Riverwalk. So I've been over there. I've been over to, you know, Belle Isle. They got a nice little beach in there. Whatever you call it. You want to call it a beach, but yeah, nah.
It ain't
I've been
Miami.
to Coney Island. Coney Island's good.
Okay.
Late night snacks. You know, you can get whatever you need. I'm just hearing about this one, this thing. I forgot what it's called. It's got like bikes. You got bikes.
Slow
trail
roll.
over to the place.
This is
What's it called?
slow roll. So
Okay.
slow roll. You're talking about riding the bikes on a Monday? It was like Monday or Tuesday night?
Yeah.
Hey, you got to get into that, man. Grand Prix is coming up this weekend as well.
Yep. I'm going to be out at the Grand Prix this weekend, so that should be fun as well. Yeah.
Good, man. I'm glad
I got to get me to the Aretha Franklin
Shane Park?
arena over there.
Yeah, the amphitheater.
Over there.
Some great concerts, man, especially in the summertime. They got a lot of good stuff, especially the old school stuff, too. Got Maxwell coming
what
in.
other sports do you like? Are you happy for the Pistons with Monty Williams now? You know,
man, I'm loving it. I love the Pistons, man. I can't wait. I thought we were going to get that number 1 pick, man.
I know.
But,
we all did.
It's all good. We're going to get whoever we get, and we're going to rock out. But, you know, I grew up down south, so, you know, I'm a Miami boy. I got to rock with my Heat tonight.
Oh yeah, we're all rooting for
the
them.
Heat. You think they can pull it off tonight? You think they can pull it off the whole series or just one game?
I got Heat in 7, man.
Yeah, I like it.
You changing your
I
opinion
love
now?
it. I love it. I want the Heat to
There
win,
we go.
man. I want the Heat to win.
Shout out to
True
Wade.
underdog story, man.
You're not kidding.
Wade County. Wade County.
Hey James, I got one more for you. I want to ask you about the room, the defensive room. You got all these new players, Cam Sutton coming in, Mosley coming in, my guy C.J. Gardner-Johnson coming in. What's the vibe in that room right now?
Man, it's a great vibe. Everybody is just kind of learning each other. Everybody's out there competing, trying to see what each other's got. I feel like it's going to be a really, really good season. We got a lot of good vets, a lot of good guys that have been in that fire, have been to the highest, have been at the lowest, have seen almost everything in the game, and are kind of can show some of the young guys, a lot of the young guys that we got on the team, especially the defense, you know, how it's supposed to go. None of the young guys have played in the playoff game. So that's one thing, you know, that we gotta understand. The atmosphere is gonna be different. Just everything's gonna be different. And so I feel like having those guys is really instrumental for some of the young guys to just figure it out and get through their years and careers of the NFL.
All right, last question. I promise this to be the last one. I couldn't let you go without asking this question. You had Deion Sanders as your last coach in college. Now you have Dan Campbell as your first coach in the NFL. Talk about the difference, if any, between these two great men.
Oh, I think there's a difference.
It's funny, though, because everybody asks me this, and I feel like everybody thinks that they're so different, and they're not. Like,
I don't think so, yeah.
They're different, like, as in maybe their personality, but, like, in the way that they approach the game and the way that I approach like football and coaching is not different at all. Like, they're huge motivators. They're going to get you ready for anything and everything that you got, practice, games, workouts, anything, like any type of competition, they're up for it. And they're on your back. They've been through it, you know what I'm saying? They're players, coaches, and they're going to support you, and they're going to try to lead you in the right direction and tell you, you know, old stories that they may have encountered, different situations and stuff like that. And so I feel like there's a lot of power in former player coaches. They can really I feel like they just have that certain connection to the guys, and they can give them certain lessons and stuff like that to help them see and guide. Because, you know, sometimes guys they can't really listen to somebody that hasn't really been through it.
Yeah.
And, you know what they say, a wise man will learn from someone else's mistakes, but, you know, a lot of people learn from their own mistakes. And I feel like seeing somebody that looks like you, that has been what you've been through,
there you go,
and that's gone through that, you know what I'm saying, they can lead you out of that.
Well, look, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you guys are doing, watching you guys and the energy that you have, the passion. The city of Detroit is behind you. Woodward Sports Network is behind you. And we look forward to the great things that you and these Detroit Lions are going to do in the future, buddy.
We can't wait.
We can't wait, man.
Appreciate y'all.
It's great. It's
Yes,
great.
sir.
We all villains
Can't
out
wait.
here, man.
Thanks, James.
So we appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you.
Yes, sir.